Welcome to Dr. K Speaks. I'm Dr. K, and I'm here to help you to navigate through the many challenges in your life's journey so that you might ultimately become the highest version of yourself. Right now, I'm going to talk about how to value myself as a woman. Ladies, that's an important topic. How to value ourselves as women. Let's start out looking at the word value. The word value means important, significant, useful, worthy. So bottom line is, how do we see ourselves as important, significant, useful, and worthy? How do we have a high sense of value for ourselves? Now, I know a lot of women who are watching this video right now have a high sense of value, high sense of self-worth. And then there are still some women who struggle with self-worth. So this video is for everybody. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to tackle value from a different perspective than what I've seen out there in a lot of spaces. I'm going to tackle value from a perspective of how we are valuable, high valued women, high valued people just because we exist. And it's about who we are. And who are we? We are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are spiritual beings inside of this earth suit. And because we're created in the image and likeness of God, we have intrinsic value. We have value that comes to us just because we're here. If you did not have a parent when you were being raised or a caregiver who taught you about your intrinsic value, that you're valuable just because you are, then it would have been easy for you to get caught up in the system of the world that tells us that we're valuable based upon the things that we do or the things that we have. For example, as women, the world system will teach you that you have more value based upon your attractiveness, or you have more value based upon the designer clothes you wear, the designer handbags, or maybe the fancy car that you drive. You have more value based upon the kinds of work that you do, what kind of career are you in, how much money do you have. You have more value based upon who you're dating. What are they doing in life? Or what is your husband doing? You have more value if you know political figures who are high ranking or perhaps some millionaires. See, in the worldly system, the value is all about something that's external to who you are. Now, let me say this. I have no issues with getting all dialed up because I love getting all dialed up myself. I like having my clothes. I'm a fashion designer. So like I made this top, I designed this top. I love designer things. I like to create, and I like my designer handbags and fancy cars and all of that. And I'm a doctor. I wasn't always a doctor, but I went from being on welfare to becoming a doctor. But bottom line is all that stuff is fine. The problem occurs when we start attaching those external things to our value as a person. And I want to just reiterate that we are valuable because we are an extension of greatness, created in the image and likeness of God. We came to this planet as babies, automatically deserving of respect, deserving of unconditional love. Now, some of you might attach your value to how you look, what you wear, what you drive, and the money that you have. And then some people who don't have those things will actually attach their value to the people who have those things. They do it in comparison. And I want to share an interesting post that I saw on the internet the other day. The post was a photograph of a mirror and an apple. And the reflection in the mirror of the apple was the unblemished side. And then on the other side of the apple that was not reflected in the mirror was the apple that had been all eaten up. It was all kinds of bites taken out of it. And that post was about how when you compare yourself to others on social media, for example, then what you're doing is you're actually seeing those things that they want to present. You're seeing that unblemished side. And little do you know, even though they are appearing to be larger than life and everything is wonderful and they got it going on in their relationship, and you're comparing yourself to them to see how you measure up, on that yardstick. And if you're at the low end, maybe you're feeling less than about yourself. What you're not realizing is that on that side that they're not presenting to you, just like that photograph of the mirror and the apple, they might have some challenges, some blemishes just like you. Every now and again, we see on YouTube, on the news, where there have been famous people who suffer from depression, who attempted suicide or maybe committed suicide. So maybe you're someone who suffers with depression. And then we also get to see that in relationships that seem so wonderful, we get to see the downside of that when those show up in the news. We just saw something recently with Will Smith and Jada. And then there's also the dark side of substance abuse, where you find out that famous people have been struggling with substance abuse, and that might be one of your things. So it's important to not compare yourself to others, whether it's famous people or just people who are on your Facebook page or whatever social media that you have, because you don't really get to see that other side that they are not presenting to you. Now, some people have a low self-worth, do not value themselves as a result of their upbringing. They had parents who were negative towards them, or caretakers who were negative towards them, said a lot of belittling things that made them really just feel bad about themselves. And so now, even as women, they have a low self-worth. And then there are also people who have had their self-worth diminished by loving caregivers or loving parents or grandparents. And what happened there? Well, they might have had some old school grandmother who was very, very well meaning, or a mom very, 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 very well meaning, who taught their child, their daughter, some things about being a woman or the role of a woman as being less than deserving of unconditional love and respect just because they are. For example, if the grandmother or the mother ever told the woman that, hey, a man is going to be a man. Let him do what he's going to do as long as he is providing for you. So what that means is, if the man is cheating or doing whatever he is doing that is disrespectful, that old school way of thinking is, let a man be a man. So those are loving, well-meaning grandparents, caretakers who are teaching what they know to be true. But it's not about being respected just because you exist. Some other grandparents or parents have taught their daughters who are now adults, because I know some, to not make waves. If the man is upset, if he's being disrespectful, Jen, just be quiet, be ladylike, don't say anything, calm down. He'll settle down in a little while, because right now he's taking care of the household and everything in it, and you don't have to work. So that's okay. Let him do what he's going to do. And that's not teaching a woman all about just being respected and just deserving respect just because she is. I would encourage everyone listening to just do a self-assessment and look at how you categorize value, how you classify value in your own life. Do you classify your value as a woman, as a person, based upon how attractive you are, how much you weigh, what kind of clothes you wear, how much your handbags cost, what your husband does, what your man does, your social circle? Do you know lawyers, judges, millionaires? Do you hobnob with the rich and famous? Are you attaching that to your self-worth? And then also, if you don't have those kinds of experiences, are you comparing yourself to others who do have those kinds of experiences? And then you come out at the low end of the yardstick, and so now you don't feel good about yourself. It's important for everybody to know that none of us are perfect. None of us are walking 100. We are all spiritual beings having a human experience. We're all on the planet trying to figure it out. There is no one who is more valuable than anyone else, going all the way from the homeless person who's on the street to the richest person in the world. Neither one of those people are more valuable than the other person. So I would encourage you today that if you have some issues with your self-worth, do whatever it is that you need to do to realize that you are worthy just because you exist. If you grew up with parents or caretakers who were negative towards you and they said belittling things that just took pieces of you and caused you to feel bad about yourself, it will really be important for you to work on forgiveness as well as to work on rewiring, reprogramming your own brain. And why do I say work on forgiveness? Because your parents and caregivers did all that they knew to do at that time when they were teaching you. We all operate from how our brain is programmed 95% of the time. So they were working with the best ideas that they had at the time, which is what we all do. Like I said, none of us are perfect. We all roll with the best idea that we have at any given period in time. So rather than holding on to some anger and resentment for your caregivers or your parents, if they did constantly take a piece of you, and then now you as an adult, as a woman, have a low value of yourself, try to work on forgiving them while you're working on telling yourself more positive messages about who you are, about your value and what you deserve. And I do want to say, if you have been involved in something in the past and whatever you were involved with led to you feeling embarrassed or shame, remember that you were operating from how your brain was programmed at that time with whatever was going on. And you did what you did. And there's nothing that you can do to change the past. So I would encourage you to forgive yourself as opposed to hanging on to some type of anger towards yourself or any type of self-loathing, because that's not going to help you, and that's definitely not going to help you to rise to become the highest version of yourself. And for anyone else, if you just feel that there are some things that you need to do that will make you feel better about yourself, then by all means do whatever it is that you feel you need to do to feel better about yourself. And again, don't attach your accomplishments, your achievements to your self-worth, because at any given moment, something can happen in your life, something can happen in the world that causes all of our achievements to be null and void. And then you will be totally devastated if you just had all of your self-worth in that. I mean, look at what's going on in the world right now. We've got situations with, it's 2022 and it's May right now. We got situations with Ukraine and we got situations with Russia. We don't know what's going to come of that. So if you just put all your eggs in one basket, that your value is contingent upon all the things that you do, something could happen to wipe all of that away. And I'm here to say that you are still valuable and important, significant, worthy, and useful no matter what happens in the world. Your value is intrinsic because you are an extension of greatness. So everybody, please remember this message because it is very, very, very important. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. And in this world system, you get your value from being a human doing as opposed to just being a being. And what do you need to do to get value? Those things that this worldly system deem as significant, deem as important. And that's not where your true value lies. Your true value lies in you, just because you exist. Thank you for listening. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends and family. And if you have not yet subscribed to my channel, subscribe to my channel so that you can be aware of all the videos that I post about becoming the highest version of yourself. Thank you.